G'day mob, it's Petero Civoniceva here, Deadly Choices Ambassador, and I'm leading today's discussion. It's our families podcast, and we're talking all things dads and bubs, which is really exciting. And I'm joined today by a great group of men who are also dads as well. So to my right, I have Alf Davies, Child Safety Officer, dad, and social worker by trade.
Yep.
How are you, Bella? You good?
Good, thanks. Good, yep.
That's good. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
And also to Jeff Locke. How are you, Jeff?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Petero. Yeah,
And
really good one.
First-time dad, and with ANFPP, which is fantastic, Australian Nurse Family Partnership Program.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah,
It's wonderful. And man, yeah, this guy doesn't need any introduction. The man himself, Peter Stoddard, Deadly Choices Southeast Queensland Manager. How are you, brother?
Yeah, good, brother. Yourself?
Yeah, really, really good. And thanks so much for joining us today, gentlemen. It's not too often we get a chance, us fellas, just having a bit of a yarn about dads and bubs. I think it's something different, which is really good. And I think it's really important that as blokes we can have this discussion, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
And today's agenda, we're going to be talking all things, obviously being a deadly dad, but also too we're going to have a focus on tobacco cessation through a dad's perspective, which is really important. And also too, this time of year, November, we're talking Movember, which is fantastic. So right now we're just going to cut to some quick ads, and we'll come back and get into it. See you soon.
Did you know that us kids
should start getting eye tests around the time we turn 5?
we should get our eye test before we start grade 1?
And as long as our eyes are healthy, we don't need another eye test for about 5 years.
School screenings don't replace normal eye tests. By getting tested at the clinic
The eye doctor can see if there are any issues.
and set us up for a bright future. Plus, if you take us to one of our clinics,
For our eye check, we get to take home a free pair of these Deadly Sunnies.
find your closest clinic online at dailychoices.com.au.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Thanks so much again for joining us. We are doing the Families Podcast Dads and Bubs session. And again, thanks, guys, for joining us. And we're going to get started. But before we do that, very importantly, we'll do our acknowledgement. And Jeff, I'll let you do that.
Yeah, firstly, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we're gathering on here today, Turrbal and Yagara people, elders past and present. We'd like to acknowledge them just for allowing us to come and have a yarn today. So, yeah, thanks.
Thanks so much, brother. It's unreal. All right, so before we get into it, let's again go over what we're going to be talking about, tobacco cessation, which is what we'll lead off first up. And I think, guys, this is really important because I think when we're talking about tobacco in the families, I think from a dad's perspective, when we talk about smoke and how that can affect pregnant women, babies, and small children, it's probably something that we don't really focus too much on. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Like our men that do smoke, especially with a pregnant mother or a mother to be, it really affects the mother and also the child that's in utero as well. So there's a lot of health complications that can happen with that. Especially if the mother's a smoker and she has stopped smoking during the pregnancy, like that can be really, really challenging for her. So needing all the support that she can get would just be fantastic, especially coming from a father.
And I think that's, as you said, that's really key, isn't it? Support, because it is such an important time, when you're having a little one being coming into the family, and it's about sort of changing some of those habits, which obviously ultimately affect the health of a little one, isn't it?
Yeah.
People might smoke because they could be stressed or anything like that. That's why it's important if you're doing your health checks, you can yarn about that stuff at the same time, and that might get you the help you need to make sure you quit. So then you won't have those impacts on baby when they're coming along. So,
And also too, I guess the ability to be able to go to a clinic and get all the different advice that you need. That's absolutely key. It's so important, and then being able to have those discussions, and I guess what are the physical and financial impacts of smoking on families?
Oh, look, I think the physical side of things is that you, especially for a lot of middle-aged fathers, if they've got younger sons, like running around with their sons or
Can't keep
daughters,
up.
struggling to keep up with them. Even just might be going for a walk around the streets or something like that. Walking up and down if you're high with the kids into their football, doing the sideline activities or even reffing or stuff like that. You'll find it hard.
I think also too, you know, as you said, they're things that you don't think about at the time, but I think it becomes very clear, you know, as you know, when you are kicking the footy with your little one or you're out, you're trying to be active with them, but you know, if you're struggling, I guess it does impact on your relationship with your kids, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can really limit it with your cardio's being affected, especially our kids are so active. So if you've got to run around a fair bit with them, it'll have an impact. So
and the financial side as well, I think heavily impact. You know, especially for mob living in low socioeconomic communities. You know, not having the money to do it, but they'll have money for smoking. You know, so I think it's about education and support around what other things you can do. You know. Because the financial, you know, if it's the price of smokes, I think it's gone right up now, and it's really expensive. And and I think you're doing a couple of packs a day, and it's, you know, that's out of your pocket. It's not going in your family's pocket as well. So
that's right. And a lot of the stresses that come with that, not being able to support the children with food, education, which is a big thing for our mob. Even if you're driving a car, haven't got petrol money, and it just brings a whole lot of other complications to the family, and it just stresses everyone out. And that's probably the last thing you want is having a stressed husband, wife, and kids seeing that as well.
Yep. And that, I guess, leads to my next question, really, about the impacts that as dads we have, not only within our family network, but also to the wider community, and the examples that we set. I guess from my perspective, you know, being a dad, you know, your kids are always got their eyes on you, don't they? You know, so I think, you know, if you as a father, you're making those conscious decisions to be the best leader that you can be within your family. I guess long term, it has a positive effect across the community, isn't it?
Yeah, they always kids always pick up on what you do as a parent. So if you're doing the right thing with not smoking, they will definitely pick that up. And it's obviously you're their main role model, full stop, mum, dad. So it's important that we model it. So.
Yeah, and so for my experience, I suppose, my dad passed away of a massive heart attack when he was 49, and he was a heavy smoker as well, and no doubt that would have had. So the impact on that, losing a father figure, and we were 7 of us in the family as well with mum, that impacted our family very heavily, you know. And you know, not having role model growing up when you're young, like I think I was only 7 or 8 when he passed away. You know, and so I think for me, I never started smoking because of that.
Yes.
You know, and it's a real massive impact when you lose a loved one. You know, through other, and for Aboriginal people too, with other health challenges that we have. You know, smoking just adds to it. So you know, if we can sort of try and get education and cut out these other things that are negative to our bodies and that, I think that, you know, it's a start.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, but also too, I mean, you know, full credit to you, because I guess you've broken the cycle. You know, it's something that whether your dad, you know, picked that up off his father, and then, you know, it's that multi-generational sort of aspect of this as well, and that's the important role that as dads, you know, we can have within our families, but within our community as well. And the decision that you've made not to do that now, I guess, sets the perfect example for your new bub.
Yeah, my brother, he's got 2 young, well, they're not young anymore, but he's got 2 kids as well, and he never smoked as well, so they don't smoke either. So it's that thing of breaking that cycle as well. So.
Yeah. And sort of, you were talking there before off camera. We were talking about the impacts that smoking has on families, and you were talking about within your own family network as well, like the challenges that you've had as well too with family members that smoke as well.
Yeah, definitely, brother. A lot of all of my aunties and uncles, my mother's immediate brothers and sisters were smokers, heavy smokers, and unfortunately they're not around anymore. And my mother passed away when I was a young lad as well, and at such a young age. And my father brought us up, and he taught us not to smoke, not to drink. If you do it in moderation. And so I've grown up. I did try smoking, but I'm a non-smoker. I don't smoke. And I just do want to be that role model for my children. As I mentioned earlier, I've got 5 kids now. I've just had twin boys. So I want to be around to run around with them and watch them grow up and do all the things that my mother unfortunately didn't get to do. But also I've unfortunately lost quite a few cousins due to the lifestyles of drinking and smoking heavily, so that from cancer or massive heart attacks, which is very unfortunate. So, and these are family members in their early 40s as well. So it's about being that role model for your children, but also for other family members and communities. But as you said, breaking that life cycle, that chain, you need to do that, and we need to have the education for our mob out there.
Yeah, that's amazing, Peter. I mean, we all have different experiences, with smoking within our families, and unfortunately, some of the things that have occurred from that. But we as men have a responsibility, and as dads especially, to set a great example. And it's always a challenge, isn't it? It's a challenge to stop smoking. But the great thing, especially with our clinics, is that we've got all the support and information and education there for you to be able to help you make that decision.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is fantastic. So Peter, I was going to actually, on the back of this, talk about myself as a Deadly Choice ambassador. I'm really fortunate to go out with the programs officers to the different schools and see the way the program is run. And obviously we talk about tobacco cessation. It's a really strong focal point within the program, and also to leading this onto Quitline and just some of the information that we share with our kids to talk about that with their families and their parents. And I've heard some great examples of students talking to their parents and having these discussions with them, which is great, and it's great to have that dialogue, isn't it? But yeah, Quitline 137848. And tell us a little bit about Quitline and some of the things you can get through Quitline service.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Deadly Choices have got our tobacco cessation program within the school, so we can deliver our tobacco cessation program, which goes over 6 weeks. The children are getting fantastic education there, and those kids are taking those messages home to their parents and talking to their parents. Their mums or dads might be smokers, and the mums and fathers are actually making changes, which is fantastic. It is amazing. But also our program officers deliver tobacco stalls at the front of the clinics that we service here, not just in Southeast Queensland, but right through Australia, wherever we've got Deadly Choices workers. And that's engaging with mob when they're coming into the clinic and having a discussion about them, about their smoking behaviour, how can they make these changes. But they can then refer them to a tobacco specialist. They can get more advice and more support face to face. And then through that, they can then be referred through to Quitline, as you just said, 131 7848. And through Quitline, you can get a male or female Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, an Indigenous worker answering your calls.
And that's important to know, isn't it? Because I guess, for mob out there, they might have a fear about thinking, I've got to give all this information. But to be able to have, I guess, someone who identifies as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander to be able to help you on that discussion and get that information, talk it through, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It makes it a lot easier for our mob to have those discussions and also make those changes. You never know, you might find that you can relate to that person, the caller on the other end of the line. So you might indulge a lot more than you expect. And if you can, then that's fantastic. It's about sharing your story and getting that support from someone who knows us culturally as well.
That's it.
I think it's just about being comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just, you're going to be your soul, or say some things. Having someone that can understand you a bit better journey.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess there's lots of different ways in which we can sort of lessen the impacts of tobacco in your life, and one of those keys. I guess there's different things that you can do. Keep them busy, which is good. And it's, I guess we live busy lifestyles, but I think if we can keep busy, you're sort of distracting yourself from wanting to have a smoke, which is great. And I guess the other aspect of smoking, and we touched on it, is the cost. The cost is enormous these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. What's about $15
Yeah,
a
I couldn't even
packet?
tell you, yeah.
Yeah,
More than that now. I think it's
nearly 20.
it's even higher.
30.
Some of them.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow.
Yes.
So I think
Not cheap.
and you're spending that kind of money, in the weekly budget.
Yeah.
And that, but as we're talking, you always try and find ways to, smokers find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
But when you add it all up, it's a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It
If
can
you're-
benefit the family in other ways, eh?
If you're smoking a pack a day, that's like $150 a week right there. And that can, like, leading up to Christmas,
Yep.
like, that's a lot of food, a lot of presents. Kids will be happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess for dads out there too, it does take time, when you're quitting and cutting down. It is a journey that you have to go on, but it's one of the most important things that I've ever learned, especially through footy, is that if you can have a good support network around you to help you make those tough decisions and cut back, it's going to help you in the long run. And talking about that, the 5 Ds, Pete, can you tell us about the 5 Ds?
Yeah, so the 5 Ds, delay. Okay, so we want to delay in having that first smoke and that first smoke of the morning.
Yep.
Or even if you want to, after lunch or after you have a feed, like, delay in having that cigarette. So not rushing to have your first smoke. Drink lots of water. So we want to rehydrate ourselves, flush the taste buds out, and then probably eat some nice healthy snacks as well.
Yep.
Distraction is a big one. So distract yourself from going and having a cigarette. Do something else. So have fun times with your kids.
That's
eh?
it.
So,
Get in the backyard, go to the park.
that's right. Do something like that. But also, if you're at home and things could be a little bit stressful, especially during COVID, deep breathing.
Yep.
So just taking that time out, 30 seconds, deep breathing in and out, and just relax. And then, as you spoke about, Pet, the support network is very important. So having open discussions with someone close to you, whether it's your brother, your father, uncle, sister, mother, just having a discussion, an open, honest discussion is important. Yeah.
It's, and as you touched on there too, this time, this year has just been unbelievable, really, just with COVID and the impacts that it's had on us as a family unit, and especially as dads. I mean, I guess mums and dads feel the stress, no doubt, but dads feel it because obviously the focus on trying to provide for your families, all those sorts of things. And I think there's some great tips there, in way we can manage that stress. But it doesn't have to be through smoking, exercise, we talk about that a lot, the importance of exercise and releasing those good endorphins, going for a good walk, getting out there, taking your kids out for a walk, which is really important. They're great ways to keep yourself busy. All right, let's turn our focus to being a dad, and I'm really lucky I've been joined here today. We're all dads, and Jeff, you're first-time dad. Congratulations, brother.
Thank you. 8 weeks today. So.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's no one ever talks about lack of sleep. Everyone talks about lack of sleep, but they don't actually put it into perspective. I think if they did, we wouldn't have kids. I think.
Yeah.
But it's been crazy. But at the same time, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
I've lived a pretty full life, and I think this is sort of the thing. And it's cliche. Everyone says it. Oh, it's the best thing that's ever happened to you, sort of thing. And it truly is. Yeah. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing, and full credit to my wife for going through it. I don't know if I could do it, So it's amazing.
Yeah,
It really is.
that's it, eh? And you spoke beautifully. I think for all of us, I think we all have that same idea of what it's like to be a dad. Pete, how about you, Bella? You've got 5.
Yeah, 5.
Being a dad, what's being a dad for you like?
It's tough. Like the oldest daughter's 13 now, so she's hit the teenage years. It's tough being a father, especially now with the 4 younger ones, a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and then the 2 twin boys. Last 2.
You don't mess around, eh?
No more. That's it. As I said, it's tough dividing the time and giving the love to all of them. But I just want to be the best role model I can be for them, especially for the girls, knowing that later when they grow up, that they would try and hopefully find someone like myself who can be there and support them, support the mother with everything, and just being the best I can for them, and just guiding them, I suppose.
Fantastic. And Alf, your perspective on being a dad, how have you found it?
Oh, both the boys have said it's for me. It's been, I always was going to put everything into my time of being a dad. I was a bit like Jeff, lost my dad at a young age, and we're a single parent family. We ended up having our 3. They were all under the age of 4. We had them, so I just make sure I put as much time into them as I can in a good way. Just be there. I've even geared me work around that stuff as well, so I've got to help out as much as I can.
That's it, yeah. And I guess too, myself, I'm a father of 4, and there's no handbook here on being a dad, eh?
No.
It isn't amazing really how you're learning on the go, isn't it? You know, I think a lot of young dads too, put a lot of stress on themselves and mums as well, because there's this idea that you've got to try and be the best, perfect parent out there. And I think sometimes media doesn't portray dads or mums really. They glamorize, the perfect parent, what it looks like, but it's not that at all, is it?
No. You will be tired. You will be stretched. You'll be stretched. But that's part of what it is. So
that's it. And you're learning on the go.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
right, Pete?
right.
You're learning on the go?
Yeah, definitely. Still, like 13 years on, I'm still learning. I think for me, the most important thing is having a good support person. So, working in partnership with your loved one, and working together. So it might mean I have to get up in the mornings to look after the children while partner goes out and does some exercise, or vice versa. It's just weighing up things, and as you just said, Alfie, that you're not getting much sleep, but
is what it is.
that's right. And you just got to balance it all up.
That's it. And I guess from your youngest now, the twin boys, to your eldest, so it's a lot of different sort of relationships that you've got to build with each of them, isn't it?
Yeah. Definitely. The two boys is a massive shock, a massive surprise, and I suppose I'm not sure, but a lot of fathers, their first children, they are hoping to have a son, I suppose, but for me it's about having a healthy child, whether it's a male or female, but the relationships do change. So at the moment I'm finding myself talking baby talks with these fellas and making them laugh, and then with the 2 younger girls I'm actually reading and trying to run around outside with them, and then with the older girl it's trying to maybe get to the movies or
be cool.
Trying to be the cool dad.
Be cool and be relevant, eh? That's it. Relevant. Yeah, that's it. I find that even like my taste in music, and I turn my stuff on and the kids are going, Dad, what is this? And then the kids put their stuff on, it's just like you can just see the generation gap, eh? But I mean, we try and make it work, eh?
One of my favorite things I like to do with the older daughter is if she's driving shotgun with me up the front, I'll blast some of my old music, wind the windows down, put it locked so she can't open wind the windows back up, and pull up at the lights, and she'll sink into the front of the seat.
Nah, that's it, eh? There's some good stuff, and I reckon as dads, we can have that fun with our kids. I'm a bit like that too. I drop my kids off to high school, and I'll always embarrass them. As you said, wind the window down, pump up some bad music, and then watch them sulk off into the distance.
Daddy loves you.
Where did you go for advice? With Jeff here being a dad for the first time. I mean, did you have anyone that you turned to be a dad? I mean, were you having discussions with anyone, or was it just something that you?
No, probably not really anyone close. Just more. I don't know. Just I sort of, when I was young in my teenage years, saw a lot of people having kids young, whatever. I'm just starting to work out then what to do if I had kids, I guess. So just sort of watched people that do it well, I guess, and sort of pick up what they do. And I'm lucky with my partner. We're really close with that, so we talk a fair bit and whatnot. So just sort of
and that's key, isn't it? I think we're all talking here now about just again those support networks, but communication is just so important in the family unit, isn't it? And when you can have those good discussions with your partners, You know, and all the time, you know, not going to get it right all the time, but as long as you can have those discussions.
Yeah, and there's a bit more around now though too, compared to what there was, you know, a while ago. So there's a bit more places fellas can go talk to about parenting and whatnot. So which is good. So
which is fantastic. Yeah, Jeff, you know, being a dad for the first time, you know, did you have a good with your brother being a dad, or you just talk a bit about it?
I think my sisters had children young, so I've grown up with 12, 13, 14 nephews and nieces.
Yeah, wow.
So you sort of get to drag the little ones around, you know. And so now I'm still that rugged with my son, like, and my wife's like, "What are you doing? Don't you know?" And I'm like, "No, you're right. Like, you can't break them, so, you know." Because that's how we were. We're just giving the kids to carry around and look after. So, as far as role models concerned, it was more so our uncles in our family. We had, you know, growing up in Brisbane here. With my mum's side of the family, all the Watsons and all the mob that and the Bales families and that, we used to have big family barbecues, and it was almost sectioned off into like traditional ways of men off doing that, you know, cooking or the cup murray, or you know, and women doing the work and around the kitchen, and the little kids and all the teenagers and the young ones were told to run away, and you know, don't come back till later, sort of thing. So seeing those roles. You know, not really understand it. You grew up culturally as well in that way. We never told that this is the Aboriginal way. It wasn't until much older that I just sort of stood back and went, okay, that's what it is, you know. And so it was those group of men that were there that would sort of led the example. And you know, when we got growled at when we were little, we never got growled at by parents. We got growled at by all the uncles and aunties. You know, they'd be lining up to give you, you know, flipping or you know, talk to them. So I suppose for me, that growing up with a big family, strong family base, you know, that was really sort of pushed us through. And I joined the army when I turned 18. My father was in the military when he was younger, and so I sort of followed his footsteps in that regards and joined the military myself, and sort of got sorted out there as well. And some good traits and bad traits, but you know, it you learn there, and you see your mates there having kids young, and I think I'm like Alf, I suppose. I just saw good examples and wanted to be like that, and saw bad examples as well. And didn't want to be like that, you know, and that's, I suppose, and that's how I learned. Being the youngest of the family as well, I had the luxury of sitting back, because my sisters would carry me around like I was their baby, you know, and they'd look after me. And so you're sort of spoilt, but you're not, but you get to see those examples. Whereas if I think you're the oldest in the family, you don't really get that, you know. So
that's really key, learning from those examples.
Fully.
So that's going to lead me, Jeff, I'm going to lead you straight into this question, you know. What advice would you give to a young Indigenous man about to become a dad? What advice would you give?
Oh, look, I think Stoddy touched on it, maybe Alf. I think just about communication. You know, you're not mind readers. You don't know what's going on for your partner, and especially for yourself as well. If you can't communicate, you know, about talking about and opening up, and just being there, just being around and supporting, and you know, doing your bit, I suppose. Because you're not having the baby, so you know you've got to be there for those other times. Just be. I think, especially for the little one, you know, for me now at the moment only 8 weeks, but just giving your partner time for a break, as Stoddy said, go and let him have a long shower, and we'll go for a walk, or get out of the house, and you spend that time with your bubba. And the tricky thing at the moment is not tricky, but you're just mindful of it. Is this one here when you're on the phones, when you're watching TV and your bubba's sitting there, and I'm sort of mindful. I'll turn things off and sit there and do the eye contact, and just want to be, and as Elf's saying, be a part of the bubba's life, you know.
That's
So I think just be present and show, you know, use your voice, communicate what you're feeling, you know, and ask how they're feeling as well, and just. And that's why we're just in this boat traveling along, 3 of us now, just cruising along, just trying to work it out as we go. As I said, there's no manual, there's no thing. You know, we were cool all the way up before we did hypnobirthing, and we were like, cool. And then that first night, we're like, what do we do now? Like, do we sit up and watch them? Because we don't have. And there's a thing in the crib that says about SIDS, and we're like, and then they start gurgling and growling, and you're like, oh, what, they're choking, you know, and you're freaking out. Because we never, I don't know what it was. I don't know why we never looked at that postpartum thing, you know, because it's like, your pregnancy goes along and you're going through the and then I don't know why we didn't think about afterwards. Like after the baby's born, you know, latching and colostrum, all these things, and I was like, what's this, you know? And so it's been a eye opener, and I think just educate yourself around this stuff as well. It makes it a bit easier. So
that's fantastic. Awesome advice. Pete, what about you? I mean, Jeff, that was a perfect answer. I mean, anything else you can add to that? What sort of advice would you give to a new dad?
Yeah, I think like you touched on it, support I think is a massive thing, because we obviously aren't having the baby. So just being there in the moment with your other half, supporting her, giving her massages, feet massages, all that kind of stuff. Even making dinner, doing the dishes, folding the clothes, like just doing all those small little things. And just being in that moment. As much support we can give the other half, the better. And when you talk about not knowing what comes after the birth, getting up at night time and supporting her when if your partner's breastfeeding, if she's not breastfeeding, get up and make the bottles of milk. Getting up and not just staying in bed, because she'll think, look, man, what are you doing? I'm doing all the work. I'm getting up all the time. So, but if you can be there and help out as much as you can, that's probably one of the important things.
I feel guilty. I'm like, I've got to get up, and it's you just force yourself to get up. And it's, I don't know, it's an automatic thing. I don't know, you fellas might be able to say it's just an automatic thing that makes you get up and go and support them.
I have to. We've got two now. There's no, I can't leave her asleep in, and I've got to go. Yeah, that's it.
And I think my wife and I, when we're going through this, through the birth, and I can't imagine what it's like for single parents, it's for single mothers. Like, I don't know how they, like, full hats off to them. Like, for a young girl who's got no family support, or even in a DV relationship or anything like that, like, it's just amazing to me how strong women are that have gone through that process. I don't know. So that's why I want to be there and support as much as I can, because I know that there are other people, and we're grateful we've got a healthy baby that's, got a little bit of colour on him too. Like, so, but that's, my mind drifts off to mob that I know have grown up with single, and it
definitely gives you an appreciation, and as you said, a massive amount of respect to any single parents out there that do it. And for you, Alpha, what sort of advice would you give to a first?
Probably nothing different, but the support's big, communication's big, and probably just knowing that it's going to be a range of emotions. That's just natural. So, but then how to, making sure you talk about that as well, because it will test everything. Like, you'll have all the highs, lows, everything in between. But it's all part of that, what you've got to do when you're being a parent. So,
Perfect. And with all that, there's a lot, that we've discussed there, but the other main thing too, I guess, for dads is just ensuring that, your mental health is good as a dad, and I think sometimes we load ourselves up with all the added stress about, earning money to putting food on the table, whether it's paying off the mortgage, paying rent, whatever it is. But it's really important, as dads, we need to take a bit of time out for ourselves as well, and I think, from my perspective, just having a bit of quiet time, whether it's in the morning, getting up and either going for a run or going for a walk, I find that's a really good time for me just to think about my day ahead, put some music on, just have that bit of time. It might be only 45 minutes, whatever it is, but at least I felt like I've had that. For you guys, is there anything that you guys sort of like to do to sort of try and...
I'd try and do that, always do a run or something like that in the morning, or every few mornings when I can, just clear the head a bit, and just sort of get ready for whatever's coming up. So
get those good endorphins out there, just making you feel good, and it's a great way to start the day, isn't it?
Yes, it gets you pretty sharp.
And I suppose for me, I'm still learning that, to find that what it is, and because I think I get a bit guilty if I go for a walk for an hour, or I've got to be home with Bubba or Mum. So it's that, as I said, I'm still trying to navigate that, trying to find that way of what can I do that doesn't impact, or I'm thinking, because I live on the south side, when I drive home, maybe stop with the Kangaroo Cliffs, do a lap there, and then go on. I'm still trying to work it out. That's, I suppose, the challenge for me, I suppose. But,
that's awesome, right?
So that's where I'm at with that.
What are you, Peter? Are you on the golf course?
Yeah, brother, that's it. Yeah, straight up, bro. The body's too old.
And just on that, I'll segue to men's golf day coming up too.
Well, that's what I was just about to say, brother. A good thing for the men out there to do, and even the women as well. We've got our women's golf event coming up. We've got the men's golf event the day after. So get along to the Deadly Choices event. So you're catching up with mob. You're having a good laugh. It's a proper Delhi mental health break for both men and women. That's
unreal,
Yeah.
And we've got all that information on our Daily Choices
Yep.
website, Facebook, and how many times of golf you're playing a week?
Once a week.
Once a week,
Hopefully, yeah. Sometimes once a fortnight. But yeah, I like to get out on the golf course, have a hit. But the other thing for us is the two younger girls are swimming.
Yep.
So we'll load everyone in the car and just go. It's just amazing watching the two young girls swimming and their confidence in water is just gone to another level.
If only Dad had that confidence in the water, eh? Hey, I'm speaking from my perspective. Sorry, brother, you're probably a good swimmer, yeah. But hey, no, this is awesome. It's been a great discussion about being a dad, and we're just going to shift our focus now to this time of year, Movember. And look, I've got some stats here, which I'd love to throw around here. Talking about the importance of getting your health check. Again, we can't ever undervalue the importance of just going to get your health check. It's so important. We have car issues. We always take a car and get it serviced. Get it fixed up. But there's something about us blokes and with our own health. We always just brush it off. Oh, don't worry about it. My shoulder's sore, or something's going on, where we don't take the effort to get in and get that health check, which is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. For me personally, obviously, I've had my mother who passed away from smoking-related illnesses. But also, when I was younger, I was diagnosed with a heart condition, which I never knew. I was playing football and I was playing touch football at a high level. And to be diagnosed with that, it was just a massive shock to the system. So, and as you alluded to earlier on, we don't know what's going on inside our bodies, and if you're not getting the health check, you're never gonna know what's happening. It's very important to have our 715s and having all the checkups and all the scans that need to be done. I've known quite a few guys that have actually passed away down in Coffs Harbour on the touch football field. So healthy people, and as we mentioned before, my one of my cousins extremely healthy and massive heart attack. So it's just crazy.
I've actually had a stent put in. So I had a heart attack, or several heart attacks in 2014. I think just cholesterol diet, just not really, and I think before that I wasn't really doing health checks as well. And so for me, it's about like understanding where I'm at with it all and getting in. And like my boy actually had his first health check today. So so 715 and. Sorry, Petero, you got a little Titans onesie. So.
No. They're the most successful Queensland team right now. So
and for him, we'll be, definitely following it up. As I said, my father died of a heart attack. In my family, there's thyroid, there's heart, there's different conditions, and so I'll be definitely hovering over him, making sure that he gets it done now. I think and. You look at the stats there about prostate cancer. A lot of our uncles have passed away just from prostate cancer, but they've done the old thing of, be right. Should be right.
Yeah, and that stat is it's pretty freaky, really. I mean, look at it. 1 in 9 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. When you hear a stat like that, and then there's other stats as well. Testicular cancer is the most diagnosed cancer in young men, which I had no clue about. And then 3 or 4 suicides are men. So there's just with these 3 stats alone, just shows you the absolute importance of just going to get.
And then if you had, for that last stat, I suppose, if you had Indigenous men, I wonder what that stat is.
That's it.
For that, I think would the percentages be higher? I mean, suicide rates for Indigenous people is off the chart. I think that's it's awesome that you see causes like Movember and Daily Choices do a great work working throughout our community, through the health, through suicide. It's and I think it needs to happen more. I think the importance of people getting in and forgetting this thing about, she'll be right, mate. Get in there and check it out, because you don't know. You don't know. And Stoddy said that family members who just seem they're fit and just drop, and pass.
Especially some of the men's health stuff's just blood tests now. Like across the heart, you just go get blood tests. It's not like it was sort of thing, where it's invasive or anything. So it's not the hardest thing to do too. So.
And that's important, isn't it? Because I think again, sometimes there's the fear of going to get something major. Whereas, as you said, it's you can get it easily done.
I think mentioned earlier also, Pet, a lot of the Deadly Choices events, people think, oh yeah, we're going to go to a Deadly Choices events, it's going to be fun, which it is, it's fantastic. But like the men's golf is based around men's mental health. So we've got like the Deadly Preston Campbell, who had his own personal issues, but he's obviously one of our ambassadors, and he gets up and talks to mob all the men about the importance of talking to other people, having that, what you spoke about earlier, having that support network around you. The women's we're talking about women's issues, women's different types of cancers and all that kind of stuff, breast cancer, for instance. So our Deadly Choices events aren't just events for everyone to come and have fun. They've got a serious side to it as well, and just educational, getting mob to having those understandings about these kind of stats that we're talking about.
And it's great to open that discussion up, which is really important, rather than sort of push it into the background and we forget about, try to forget about it. It's bringing it to the fore. And so we touched on there Movember. So to sign up to Movember, head to Movember.com. And we're so lucky here at Deadly Choices. We've got some pretty amazing ambassadors from Movember, Nathan Appo, and Uncle Charlie too. It's great. They're featuring everywhere, all over the ads.
All around the world.
All around the world, yeah.
Around the world.
I saw that photo of, I think they were on a London bus.
Yeah.
There was Big Ben in the background. And there these two fellas are. How good is that?
It's deadly. The ad came on TV, and I was showing my kids at home. Said, "Oh, look, there's Nathan there, one of our Deadly workers." So they do a fantastic job. The message that they get across, and it's just amazing what they've done for men's health.
It's unreal. So again, so head to Movember.com to sign up, and then you can join our Deadly Choices Movember All Stars team. You can raise or donate $50, and the first 100 people to do so will receive a limited edition Deadly Choices Movember shirt, and they are good. These shirts are amazing. So that's the only way you can get it. So make sure you tell everyone, share it with your mob, and get behind it, because obviously it's so important that again we have this discussion around men's mental health. Talking about mustaches, I know Nathan's got a deadly mustache. It looks unbelievable. Sometimes, when he's walking past the hallway and it starts to glisten and there's a light there, I'm like, wow, how good's that? Favourite sporting mustache? I'm going to leave this one off. So I was, as a young boy, loved the Bronx. Joey Kilroy. I remember when I saw Joe Kilroy for the first time. He was running down the sideline scoring those tries, and he turned around, man. It actually had a good one too. Nice handlebar.
Flowing like his locks, eh?
Yeah, that's it. Who would you say? You got
I like Cameron Munsters at the moment. I reckon that's pretty.
Well, actually, did you see
like
that?
Has he got rid of it?
He just shaved it off. He just shaved it off. But he probably should have left it going into Origin. We need all the help we can get. Maybe
it's good luck charm.
So Cameron Munster,
what's that uncle from Balmain Tigers? What? The front row with the blonde curly hair.
Oh yeah. It was
Hemsley.
Hemsley, that's him.
There we go.
Yeah, crazy.
He had
he looked vicious too.
And then he had the mullet on the back.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. Yeah.
I think I'll go a different strain, Booney.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cricket.
Yep.
Booney or Merv Hughes.
That's it.
They must start.
I know we're rocking them. Both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Wally had a mean mustache back in the day.
He actually did. I do remember Wally had the mustache. Yeah,
that's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. No, just my earliest days. I just remember Joey Kilroy. Man, what
Sammy Bucko, another one.
Big
Mo as
he
well.
sported one too. So now that's unreal. And let's quickly just discuss our helplines. So every 30 seconds, a person in Australia reaches out to Lifeline for help. You can call Lifeline on 131114 or Beyond Blue on 1300 22 4636, and I'm sure we'll get them up on the screen for you guys out there. And it's important, we talk about the importance of just asking for help and getting that support network around you, and having access to helplines like this is really key, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's stuff out there that you can reach out to, I guess. So
Yep. And also too, there's a brother to brother hotline, which is a 24-hour crisis line, especially for Indigenous men. So you can call them on 1-800-435-799. So that's 1-800-435-799. And also too, we've got other online resources like wellmob.org.au, Men's Line Australia. Their number there is 1300 789 978. Q-Life. So yeah, again, it's really important as blokes to know that there are ways in which we can get the information that we need, support, help, again, which is really, really important.
Yeah, that's a massive thing. Hey, and a lot of our guys don't do that. Don't get out and talk and have a yarn. And I've been through some troubles, and I've just go and find my best friend or a couple of my best friends and just go and have a yarn, and you just feel so much better. It's amazing how much better you feel, eh?
Like my background, I'm a veteran. I served overseas, and just catching up with Facebook is a devil of a thing, but it's also sometimes a good thing where you can chat with blokes you haven't seen for 20, 30 years, and have a chat there as well, and just reach out. And yes, I think the thing is that you're never alone, but I think that's the point of it, that you think you're alone and you think you get trapped. And I think reaching out and talking to people and seeing people with similar stories, you don't feel that alone.
That's it.
And you can sort of open up and, oh, you had that as well. Oh yeah, and I think that's important because if you don't, then it's that social isolation when people say, I've seen my cousins or brothers and that they socially isolate and they'll turn their Facebook off, switch it off and jump off and then go and hide somewhere. And it's about going and find them and dragging them out and say, hey, what's going on? Have that yarn with them.
That's it.
Reaching out. The other side of that as well is, you doing it, but actually seeing someone and actually acting on it. I think, too many times brothers and cousins or even sisters and that who've committed suicide, and how many times you said, oh shit, I wish I would have said something.
That's it.
It's as simple as that sometimes. Just ask them how they're going. And,
discussion.
Yeah.
And I think too, the hard thing then is that if they're holding on to that burden, saying I should have went and spoke to that person. But look, it's about, as we've spoken to previously all throughout this, is having that support and going and talking to mob about it.
Unreal. Fellas, that's been an amazing chat. I've loved having yarn with you all, and thank you so much for all your time today. Hopefully for you guys at home, you've got plenty of good information. For you dads out there, we discussed, some really important topics, and it's just really important, that you always can lean on someone when you need a bit of advice. As dads, we don't have all the answers. We like to think we have all the answers, but it's all about learning and growing, and that's so important. But fellas, again, thank you so much for today's discussion.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
No worries. And find out all the information, any extra information on our Deadly Choices Facebook, on the web as well. But from us here at DC headquarters, it's bye for now. See you soon.